Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, divided paths to justice. We talk about the victims' families and how they're grappling with the Kohberger guilty plea. Lori Vallow complains about an invasion of her privacy. We have opening statements in the case of the doctor who poisoned his wife, allegedly. The Hollywood Scion's Self-Inflicted finale. A former big league player hits for the fence. And a man allegedly upgrades disrespect from verbal jab to a fatal bullet. This day in legal history, our quote of the day, and let's not forget about our dumb criminal. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and hit that little bell for notifications so you get word of when we put up new content or go live. Now, you may say, Scott, why are you not in a suit? Why are you not in at least a sports coat? Well, I'm getting ready to get on an airplane, so I'm, casual. I'm in travel attire today. But don't worry, even though I'll be traveling, I will still bring you a daily show while we are gone. All right? Now the question is, do you know where we're going? I think only if you're a Patreon member do you know that. All right, let's go ahead and remind you to go to crimetalksearch.com, sign up for a background subscription service today. When you do, you'll be able to do a background search on anyone here in the United States, and you're going to get all types of information. Some things you probably wouldn't even think you'd be able to get, but you're going to be able to find out phone numbers, email addresses. You're going to find out somebody's social media presence. You're going to be able to determine if they're married. Are they divorced? Do they have liens or judgments against them? Have they filed for bankruptcy? Are they a sex offender? Do they have an extensive criminal history? Or a criminal history at all, right? You want to check it out. Knowledge is power. Go to crimetalksearch.com and sign up for that background subscription service today. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. First, divided paths to justice, right? The Idaho victims' families, well, they grapple with the Kohberger plea. So obviously in the aftermath of Bryan Kohberger's guilty plea. I wouldn't say unexpected because, well, I called it months ago that they would be groveling for a guilty plea for anything to take death off the table. Anyway, that plea came on July 2nd for the four murders of the University of Idaho students, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. And the families of the victims are having navigated a complex landscape of grief, relief, and frustration. Now, this plea, which spares Kohberger the death penalty in exchange for 4 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, has elicited some sharply divided responses, underscoring the varied paths of healing nearly 3 years after the tragic events of November 13th of 2022. Now, the Chapin family, parents of Ethan Chapin, have expressed a sense of unexpected peace with the resolution, viewing it as an opportunity to move forward without the prolonged anguish of a trial. Stacy Chapin, Ethan's mother, described the plea deal as truly a blessing, emphasizing how it alleviates the burden on her surviving children, Ethan's triplets, who were subpoenaed as witnesses. Now, she highlighted the family's determination to protect her kids, allowing them to lead normal lives despite the profound loss, and noted their recent graduation from the University of Idaho as a testament to their resilience. Now, Jim and Stacy Chapin in interviews have focused on positive memorials to Ethan, such as the Ethan Smile Foundation, which is awarded 86 scholarships totaling $105,000 to honor his memory and support education. Stacy reflected on Ethan's love for Priest Lake in northern Idaho, a family haven where a bench now bears his name overlooking the volleyball court he cherished, symbolizing their commitment to channeling grief into constructive remembrance. Now, for the Chapins, avoiding a trial means sparing not only their family, but also other students and community members from reliving the trauma, enabling them to just all get to go on with their life. Now, in stark contrast, the Gonzalez family, parents of Kaylee Gonzalez, have voiced deep disappointment and anger over the plea agreement, feeling it denies them full accountability and closure. Now, Steve Gonzalez, Kaylee's father, criticized the deal harshly, stating it allows Kohberger to avoid the death penalty without sufficient explanation of his actions, and lamented that Idaho has failed his family by proceeding without their input. Now, the family issued a statement shortly after the plea, noting Kohberger's one-word response in court as insufficient acknowledgement of responsibility, and expressed frustration that the arrangement circumvents a public trial where motives and details could be thoroughly examined. Now, the sentiment reflects their ongoing quest for justice, amplified by the belief that the plea undermines the gravity of the loss that they endure daily. Similarly, Jeff Kernodle, father of Xana, has shared his disappointment with the prosecutor's decision, describing it as a surprise that deprived the families of a comprehensive reckoning. The Kernodles, like the Gonzalez, have grappled with the absence of a trial, which they anticipated as a platform to confront Kohberger's actions and seek some deeper understanding of the tragedy that claimed Xana's life alongside her boyfriend, Ethan. Now, these divergent reactions highlight the profound individuality of grief among the victim's family, even as they unite in mourning the young lives cut so short. While some find solace in closure and forward momentum, others contend with unresolved questions and perceived shortfalls in judicial rigor. As Kohberger's sentencing approaches on July 23rd, the families continue to embody resilience, each forging their own narrative of remembrance amid enduring sorrow. I could not imagine losing a child, let alone through some senseless killing like this. But either way, all of the families are going to have to deal with this on their own. Now, the judge did issue an order yesterday, basically denying the request for the press to have their own photographers in the courtroom. He said, nope, don't worry about it. I got it handled. It will be streamed on our YouTube channel, and we will bring it to you live on the 23rd. Next, Lori Vallow is concerned about her privacy. And now I get it. Now, we all know Lori Vallow has been convicted in Idaho, and she was convicted of 2 cases in Arizona as well, as it relates to the death of her former husband, Charles Vallow, as well as the attempted murder of her niece's husband. Things didn't go well for her trial. She represented herself, and when things got done, she filed a motion for a new trial. And one of the bases for the new trial in Arizona was that she was sick. She said she didn't feel well, and that's the basis of the new trial. The prosecutor said, hey, let's find out. So they were granted permission for a limited access to Lori Vallow's medical records for basically the time with the trial was supposed to start, to see if she was in fact ill. Because if she's not being completely candid with the court, well, guess what? That goes directly to your credibility. Now, obviously, Lori Vallow is now a 3-time loser, a 3-time convicted felon. And so, her word is, let's just say, should be taken with a grain of salt. So the prosecution filed their response, and they filed it under seal. Why? Because there were medical records attached. Well, Lori Vallow now says, hey, that was invasion of my privacy, and it's not even going to include her urinary tract infection results that the court doesn't have. So there you go, court. Take that. Well, anyway, we'll see what the court rules in the next couple of days, but I'm assuming it's going to be denied. Next on the docket, opening statements in the Dr. Craig case. The guy that poisoned his wife, allegedly. So the trial involving James Craig, an Aurora dentist accused of murdering his wife, Angela Craig, by poisoning her protein shakes in March of 2023. Now, the couple had been married for 23 years and shared 6 children. In addition to the first-degree murder charge, Craig faces 2 counts of soliciting, tampering with evidence, 2 counts of solicitation of perjury, and 1 count of solicitation of murder. The latter related to the alleged attempt to have the detective killed prior to the trial, the lead detective, that is. And two of Craig's attorneys have had to withdraw from his defense, one for ethical reasons because he couldn't no longer represent the good doctor, and the other one had his own legal issues because, well, he tried to burn down his house, who was his co-counsel, which is his wife, who's now doing the case basically solo. She has a young co-counsel that just came in, but needless to say, a lot of issues around this. So what happened today? We finally got a jury, right? Court commenced about 8:30. Jurors receiving their instructions on courtroom rules before the opening statements, right? They get their little rules saying you can't consider everything. Here's good places to go eat. Here's your note-taking. Here's a little piece of paper. You ask questions. Yes, jurors can ask questions in Colorado. Of course, they still need to conform to relevance and legal rules of evidence protocol. But yes, jurors can ask questions. So they were briefed on that. And then the proceedings focused on opening arguments, opening statements, it should say. It's not really an argument. It should be a road path of the evidence that both parties intend to see as far as the evidence coming out, outlining their respective positions. Now, the prosecutor's opening statement was where they portrayed Angela Craig as a devoted mother of 6 children and one of 10 siblings. They detailed her deteriorating health over a 10-day period back in March of 2023, during which she was hospitalized multiple times and became critically ill. Prosecutors assert that James Craig intentionally poisoned his wife over several days by adding cyanide to her protein shakes, which he prepared for her. They claimed he ordered cyanide online and that a lethal amount was detected in her system, including additional doses allegedly administered while he was alone with her in the hospital. Now, although the motive is not required to prove guilt, the prosecution highlighted potential factors, including financial difficulties with Craig's dental practice and the couple's 2021 bankruptcy filing. They also noted Craig's multiple extramarital affairs, one of which was discovered in 2022, leading to discussion of divorce that were ultimately set aside. Prosecutors indicated that the evidence, such as text messages and a timeline, would demonstrate a significant ongoing relationship with another woman prior to Angela's death. Now, the defense acknowledged in their opening statement that there were some undisputed facts. First, Angela Craig was ill, frequently hospitalized, and had poison in her system. However, they contested the prosecution's explanation of how the poisoning occurred, describing it as reliant on speculation and assumptions rather than concrete evidence. The defense characterized the Craig's marriage as caring yet broken, emphasizing that marital issues, including financial strains and infidelity, did not constitute a motive for murder. They noted that Angela was aware of and contributed to the family's financial situation, including the bankruptcy, and that James' affairs were multiple and known to her, with the prosecution's focus on one affair being unrepresentative. The defense maintained that these elements were typical of marital challenges and not indicative of intent to kill. We'll bring you the trial as it comes along. Now, we can't even see it online through the court's system, which is very odd because I can watch every other courtroom proceedings except for this one. But yet we think there's some feed in there. We're trying to get it. If we get it, we'll bring it to you. All right. Sorry, I thought we were going to be able to get it, but we're having issues on that. Next, a Hollywood Scion's Self-Inflicted finale. In a twist that even the most jaded scriptwriter might deem too on the nose, Samuel Bond Haskell IV, the 37-year-old son of a prominent Hollywood executive, has opted for a solitary outcome in his jail cell mere days before his next court appearance. Charged with the gruesome murders of his wife and her parents, Haskell's death by suicide on Saturday, July 12th, marks an abrupt close to a case that began with body parts in a dumpster and ends without the accountability of a trial. Haskell, heir to a legacy of Emmy-winning productions and star-studded representation, his father, Sam Haskell III, have shepherded talents like Dolly Parton, Whoopi Goldberg, and George Clooney. Well, he faced 3 counts of murder. The charges stemmed from a November 2023 incident when the headless torso of his wife, May Haskell, was discovered in a dumpster near his Encino office. Her parents, Yangzi Wang and Gaoshan Li, who had relocated to the couple's spacious Tarzana home to assist in raising their 3 young sons, vanished the same day. Their remains were never recovered. Now, surveillance footage captured Haskell discarding a suspicious bag into the trash on November 7th of 2023, one day after the family was last seen alive. Now, in a move straight out of a poorly plotted thriller, he reportedly hired day laborers $500 to haul away black trash bags from his residence, initially claiming they contained rocks, then pivoting to, well, Halloween props. The workers, sensing something amiss from the bag's soft, soggy texture, peeked inside to reveal body parts, including a discernible belly button, and promptly returned the cargo, alerting the police. By the time police arrived, the evidence had vanished, much like the victim's full remains. Now, the sheriff's department confirmed the to local media yesterday afternoon, just ahead of Haskell's scheduled hearing. Now, the district attorney did not mince words, labeling the act as one last cruel act by someone who did the most horrific things for a reason he will never entirely know. The prosecutor lamented that the denial of justice, noting that the bereaved family, already grappling with profound loss, has been deprived of confronting Haskell, articulating their grief and honoring the memories of their loved ones in open court. Now, Haskell had entered a plea of not guilty back in January of 2024 while under a suicide watch in the Los Angeles Twin Towers jail, where he appeared in court twice, clad in attire signifying mental health restrictions. Facing the possibility of the death penalty, his case exposed some underlying tensions. Friends of his wife revealed that she had contemplated divorce for at least 4 years, but hesitated, fearing Haskell's influential father might sway custody battles regarding their sons, who are aged 11, 8, and 6 at the time. Reports also highlighted Haskell's strained relationship with his in-laws, whom he allegedly ignored or treated rudely, exacerbating domestic discord in their $2.5 million 6-bedroom abode. Professionally, the younger Haskell dabbled in videography, directing, and production, editing for artists like Tyga and Machine Gun Kelly, yet his personal narrative veered into horror, culminating in a self-directed end that leaves more questions than closures. Now, in the annals of Hollywood-adjacent scandals, this chapter closes not with a bang, but with a barred cell and unclaimed accountability. Coward. Next, a former big league player hits for the fence. Let's just say he hit a courtroom home run. Kind of. Well, former MLB pitcher Dan Serafini, who once hurled fastballs for a living, has now struck out in the courtroom, convicted of first-degree murder in the slaying of his father-in-law amid a $1.3 million financial foul ball. Now, Serafini, the 51-year-old journeyman who bounced through 7 major league seasons from 1996 to 2007, was found guilty yesterday for the 2021 shooting death of his 70-year-old father-in-law, Robert Gary Spoor, with attempted murder of Spoor's wife, Wendy Wood. He also earned a conviction for first-degree burglary because apparently one crime wasn't enough to cover the bases. Prosecutors detailed how the ex-pitcher turned alleged intruder slipped into his in-laws' Homewood, California home back on June 5th of 2021, armed with a .22 caliber gun, and played the waiting game for 3 hours before unleashing the attack. A 911 call followed, but not before tragedy struck. 2 young children, a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old, were present in the house, adding an extra layer of heartbreak to this already grim inning. Wood survived the initial assault, but tragically took her own life in 2023, with her family attributing the decision to the lingering trauma from that fateful night. The root of this deadly dispute, a $1.3 million ranch renovation project bankrolled by the elderly couple, which apparently turned into a high-stake grudge match. Serafini had pocketed $90,000 from them that very day, but texts revealed his simmering rage over a $21,000 slice of the pie. "I'm going to kill them one day," he reportedly messaged, followed by charming notes like, "I will be coming after you and take me to court." Now, Adrienne Spohr, daughter of Robert and Wendy, didn't hold back in court, describing the act as heinous and calculated while praising her parents' generosity towards Serafini and his wife, Erin. "It's been 4 years since my mom and dad were shot, and it's been 4 years of just hell," she stated. "Today, finally, justice was served. Her focus now, ensuring Serafini spends the rest of his days behind bars, with sentencing set for August 18th. So enter co-defendants Samantha Scott, a close friend of Serafini's wife and reportedly his lover, who pled guilty to an accessory charge back in February of this year. The duo was nabbed in separate Nevada cities back in October of 2023. And the Placer County Sheriff, Wayne Wu, hailed the arrest in a 2023 statement, saying, "The apprehension of those responsible for the tragic events that unfolded in Homewood, North Lake Tahoe in 2021 stands as a testament to the unwavering dedication of our detectives, law enforcement partners, and the persistence of our pursuit of the truth. Understand that my team's commitment to unraveling the most complex of cases prevails, and those who inflict harm upon our community will be held accountable every time." Now, Serafini, who's now held without bail, had a pretty much average career with a record of 15 wins, 16 losses, and a 6.04 ERA. Across stints with the Twins, Cubs, Pirates, Padres, Reds, and the Rockies. Now, drafted in the 26th round by Minnesota in 1992, he peaked early with the Twins and then meandered through the league, including disastrous 2007 finale with the Colorado Rockies, where his ERA ballooned to 54.0 in 3 games. That's terrible. I remember the guy. He wasn't any good. Anyway, in a twist straight out of reality TV, Serafini appeared on Bar Rescue in 2013, lamenting a $14 million loss from bad investments and a divorce while showcasing his Nevada bar. Life, it seems, threw him one curveball too many. Next on the docket, an Indiana man recalls every detail of turning a marital spat into Mortal Kombat. That's right. Don't disrespect this guy. So there was some news footage that apparently captured the chaotic aftermath in Plainfield, Indiana, where Evelie Lacroix met her untimely end. Well, please meet Steve Chivanis, looking every bit the picture of remorse. Now, in a plot twist that even the most jaded soap opera writer might deem over the top, an Indiana gentleman attempted a dramatic self-exit after allegedly dispatching the woman who dared to show him the door. So Steve Chivanis now faces murder charges from his hospital bed, where his failed encore performance left him with a self-inflicted head wound, but apparently crystal clear memories. According to the probable cause affidavit, Chivanis awoke to find police hovering like uninvited bedside critics. His opening line, "I shot my wife," subtle as a sledgehammer. Police reports paint a picture of Chivanis enlisting a buddy for a seemingly innocent errand, swinging by Evelyn Lacroix's place to grab his forgotten socks or whatever. But plot spoiler, Evelie had already booted him out of the residence and slapped a protection order on him faster than you can say restraining romance. But the drama unfolded on June 28th. Chivanis pal rolls up, only to be greeted by Evelyn's daughter, who pulls the classic mom's at work story. She promises to pass the message like a reluctant carrier pigeon. As they drive off, Chivanis suddenly channels his inner action hero, stopped a car, I'll walk back. His friend, sensing impending idiocy, loops in his own girlfriend via phone. Her sage advice, head back because Chivanis might be spoiling for a fight. But first, a trunk check reveals the plot's smoking gun. Literally, the friend's firearm, which Chivanis knew about, has vanished like a bad habit. Turns out it was pilfered during the daughter's chat. Sneaky, sneaky. Meanwhile, Evelie's daughter confesses to cops that her at-work story was a white lie. Mom was napping pre-shift with wake-up instructions in place. Post-visitors, she hears a pop, glass shattering like an impromptu fireworks. Guess what? then another pop, mom screams, and a third that silences everything. Eerie quiet ensues. Rushing to the bedroom, the daughter can't budge the door, but glimpses Chivanis and amid a bloodbath ensuing. Neither party stirring. She dials the authorities because what else do you do in real life horror flicks, right? Anyway, police arrive to find Evalie deceased from a gunshot wound in her boudoir, blood redecorating the living room and the kitchen, and shattered patio glass adding that extra crunch. Now, Chivanis, still conscious near the front door, gets cuffed and carted to the ER. Now, apparently there have been multiple violent episodes, including a screwdriver stabbing. Talk about a twisted tool time. Chivanis would apologize. Evalie would relent, rinse, repeat, but a June hide-and-seek stunt near her home finally prompted the protective order. No contact, no harassment, no more not so Mr. Nice Guy. Once patched up enough for chit-chat, Chivanis gets Mirandized and spills the beans, saying, "I remember everything." Why the shot? Because she was disrespecting me. Intent? To take her life. The eloquence of entitlement. Chivanis lingers in hospital limbo, charged with murder, burglary, and domestic battery, plus the pesky protection order violation, because nothing says I respect boundaries like breaking them with bullets. What can you say, ladies and gentlemen? Remember, those protective orders are worth about the piece of paper they're written on. Next, this day in legal history, on July 15th, 1870, Georgia was the last former Confederate state readmitted to the Union, ending Reconstruction, obviously a major legal political milestone. On July 15th, 1913, Augustus Bacon became the first United States senator elected by popular vote under the 17th Amendment. As you may recall, prior to that, senators were elected by the state senate in each particular state. There you go. Big change. 1947, on this date, the Federal Loyalty Program initiated. That's right. President Harry Truman's loyalty program took effect, investigating government employees for communist ties, leading to espionage and subversion prosecutions. And on July 15th, 1976, there was an abduction of 26 school children and their bus driver near Chowachilla, California, buried alive in a quarry. All the victims escaped. Kidnappers were tried and convicted. July 15th, 1997. Giovanni Versace was shot to death outside his Miami Beach home. Suspect Andrew Cunanan later killed himself after a manhunt, and it sparked federal debate on serial killings and criminal profiles. And when you go there to South Beach, you can see the Versace thing. I mean, everybody goes and takes their picture right there. It's kind of interesting. How about a legal quote? How about a quote addressing the theme of individuals in positions of power succumbing to downfalls? Yes, it happens all the time. How about this? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 6:18. Anyway, the proverb underscores the peril of hubris, suggesting that arrogance frequently precipitates the decline of those who wield authority. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. In the grand tradition of Florida man escapades, one Jeffrey LaForge, age 40, finds himself ensnared in the clink on felony charges of orchestrating a duo of daring Walmart sex toy capers. Police. Now arrested last Friday on twin theft accusations, LaForge is cooling his heels behind bars pending a $10,000 bond. Now police allege that the two distinct occasions, LaForge pilfered a variety of adult entertainment items from a Walmart store in South Pasadena, located in Pinellas County. Now, surveillance footage captured the cunning culprit liberating the items from their boxes before sauntering out before payments for the instruments of delight. The haul, tallying a modest $280, features such gems as a $31.44 tush toy and a $14.98 oral stroker, duly itemized in the police dossier. For good measure, LaForge also finger-swiped a $3.98 Reese's peanut butter cup ice cream, perhaps a post-heist treat. soothes the nerves, apparently. Well, whether these pleasure purloins were destined for private indulgence or black market sales remains a mystery, though the absent packaging might raise eyebrows among discerning shoppers who suspect prior trials. Typically, thefts under $1,000 weren't mere misdemeanor slaps on the wrist, but LaFour's rap sheets of repeated sticky finger exploits him has elevated these to felony status. As a delightful aside, who could have guessed that the quintessential American emporium stocks a G-spot and clitoral suction vibrator? The more you know about everyday retail revelations. Who knew, ladies and gentlemen? I didn't know they sold those items at Walmart. Go figure. Anyway, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. And remember, the Constitution matters.